So we're streaming this live on Twitch. We don't have an external camera today, so my whole laptop will kind of be the camera. Remind me if I forget. Like if somebody's talking and it's just my face listening, that's not what we want.
We might be filming you guys part of the time. So
We'll flip it around if people talk. So, disclaimer: I'm still in my fight with sand, so I haven't gotten to the end of the game yet. And that's not even like the beginning. So like I can't even speak to like the alternate endings. I'm going on like the pacifist run. So I've got a lot. Yeah. So I can talk about a lot how far I've got. Andrew finished it. But I think we're going to be pulling on you guys a lot to like add little bits of trivia that came in. I heard some of you guys talking about like people that post like got characters in from doing like Kickstarter contributions. Yeah, so like stuff like that. Like I'm the one that I might have to even like leave midway meeting if we talk about the ending, so I don't get things spoiled.
Yeah, and I'll disclose also. So I finished the game once, and now I'm on my second replay of it.
So what are you doing for your second replay?
I guess I'll do what I think most people do.
Is that No Mercy?
Save everyone. No, yeah.
Oh,
pacifist. Yeah.
Did you do No Mercy for your first one?
No, the first time I went through, I just went kind of a normal, just unknowing what to do. I killed some people. Like I killed the tutorial.
Oh no! Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about that when we get to it.
And then I think that's the only person I killed. And of course the boss at the end, the Lion King dude.
The Lion King.
Yeah. the guy with the horns, the main villain.
No, but that. You killed the Lion King.
Yeah. So Undertale.
You want to get started?
Yeah. Let's kick off. Well,
okay.
Did Frank come back?
Well, we can
is Frank back in there?
Well, if you see him, have him like pop his head in.
Have him pop out because he's just getting ice for the beers.
Yeah. So hey Frank. Frank's here. Okay. So Frank. Woo! Hey. All right. So welcome everyone to our second meeting of the Game of the Month Club here at Babycastles. And yes. Yeah, sorry. We were doing audio testing.
It's all coming that way. So
well, let's kill it for now, and then we can talk about music. We can amp it up.
I just do a little Game of the Month intro.
Yeah, you want to.
So this is the second Game of the Month meeting we've had here at Babycastles. So basically, the idea of the club is every month we pick out a different game to play, and then we just meet up and kind of talk it over and share everyone's experiences that they had, and hopefully get some good discussion, maybe a little fighting going on.
Yeah, and whoever wants to host gets to pick the game. And but in general, we're trying to do games that we feel like people have been telling us to play for a long time. So we're kind of getting through this like backlog gaming to-do list. I don't know about you guys, but my life is super busy, and so like I keep going, oh yeah, I'll write that down. And I never really get through to a lot of these. So last month we played Out of This World, which was kind of classic for its time, and now we're doing Undertale, which is kind of like the modern indie darling, probably soon to be classic game.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight. If it truly deserves the status of classic.
I'm already really impressed, and I'm only like a third done.
I guess only time will tell. Usually we just kind of go around and get people's opinion.
Well, do you want to start with an intro, and then we'll swing?
Sure. Yeah. So.
Okay. Right now, the stream is just me drinking a beer.
It's a pretty good stream. So, so Undertale is created by this guy named Toby Fox, and Toby Fox is a bit of a mysterious character.
Toby Radiation Fox Morgan.
Toby Radiation. This guy here, he's a young chap, young guy, 24 years old, I think. The only previous game experience he had was he did a lot of mods for a game called Undertale. I mean,
no. I'm going to jump in before you get things wrong.
Okay, yes, please.
So he did work on a mod, I think, for
Earthbound.
Yeah. But yeah, what he did do is he worked on some of the Flash playthroughs for Homestuck. That's what you're going to say, right?
Yeah. Well, I think he got he was making mods for this game, Earthbound, which was a Super Nintendo game that was kind of released here in the States, but it's a bit of a cult classic.
People love it. but it wasn't like it took off.
Yeah.
And the sequels are now just coming out, like Mother 3 or something.
Yeah.
I need to read up on it. And Mother 3 is finally coming out?
No.
Sadly.
I think it came out like 2006, and everybody's been clamoring for official translation.
Okay. But we haven't gotten anything official yet.
Now, the worst part is Nintendo actually confirmed that they know that people want Mother 3, but they're denying it anyway.
They teased it heavily.
Yeah.
Even that press conference where they shut up the fan. There's a press conference where they did CGI animation of attacking the fan. It was demanding Earthbound 3. Mother 3, so.
Yeah, it was supposed to be released for the Nintendo 64 a long time ago, or the Ultra 64 when they had that disc drive thing. So I think Toby, I guess he did some mods for Earthbound. I guess he's hacking the ROM or something. So that was one piece of experience that he did, and then he also did some freelance work on Homestuck.
Yeah, so I mean, he was good friends with Andrew Hussey, and the story I heard is that Undertale was written in Andrew Hussey's basement when he was supposed to be helping with Homestuck stuff. So yeah, he worked on some of the Flash, and more importantly, he contributed to a lot of the soundtrack. So the song I was playing earlier, Megalovania, was actually, I think it started off as part of his Earthbound mod, ended up as one of the Flash animations, and is now in one of the boss battles in Undertale.
It's like his signature song. He has it in every work that he makes.
Yeah. Would you guys be upset if some Homestuck got spoiled?
Well, could you just play that song again? Because I don't know which one,
Okay.
is the one you're talking about.
And so for those who don't know, Homestuck is like this giant epic of a webcomic.
Yeah, it's a webcomic with interactive game parts and animated parts.
That's not it.
So,
This isn't it.
So the comic's created in MS Paint, but there's also Flash games built into the comic.
Oh wait, Oh, it's because this is still going. Yeah, where's our other guy? Was that this? No. Yeah. No, this is not. This is not what I want.
Oh, didn't you have it up a second? Well, so Homestuck is a huge cult like hit type of thing.
Yeah.
And he wrote some music for it, and also did some Flash games. And then this game he worked on for about 2.5 years, mostly by himself. There are other people that helped out with a little bit of music, and I think
here's Megalovania. So this is kind of ended up in almost everything he did. Do you guys recognize that at all? Yeah.
I forget where it is though.
Yeah, so that was one of the big... So
Isn't that Sans fight music?
I think it might be
Yeah.
Sans fight music. So if you were a nerd in 2010... I'm trying to remember what... I think this is Wake.
I missed that year.
Okay, some shit's going to get spoiled if you're into Homestuck at all. I think this is it.
Don't worry, there are 6.
I know you're Homestuck, right?
There's a scene where a lot of main characters get killed all of a sudden. That's why. Everybody loved her. Now she's dead. This reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you guys ever watched Transformers the movie, but in the first 15 minutes, like, everybody you loved from like the old show just ends up getting murdered. Anyway, so yeah, there's a little bit of background there.
Yeah, so he was bringing that experience to this other project that it sounds like he worked on it for about 2.5 years.
Yeah, and at the same time, Homestuck was supposed to be making a video game that most of the Homestuck fans now are kind of over and aren't that into, and are like, well,
there was
whatever happens, it'll never be as good as Undertale.
The Pumpkin Studios
Yeah,
thing?
yeah,
There was a
yeah.
small studio in New York that they were building a point-and-click adventure for Homestuck, but
No.
I guess no one, it shut down for some reason.
There were funding issues.
Yeah, but they got a lot of money from a Kickstarter, and then
Yeah, the Kickstarter was huge.
They
Yeah.
hired another development studio, and after a year or so, there were problems with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's always sad to see those things not to get finished, but I think that sounds like what happened.
Toby claims that's the next project in which he's doing.
He's doing those.
Homestuck game.
Really?
Oh, nice.
All the excess money from the Kickstarter is going towards the Homestuck.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't hear about that. That's awesome.
Is he gonna make it all by himself?
I'm not entirely sure.
I
I'm
guess-
sure that the Homestuck writers are going to have their input as well.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but he made Undertale all on his own, right?
He did the game development, like the gameplay, writing the story, and most of the art. I think like the portraits of the characters in battle, he had off to Temi Chang, who is probably the only other person that helped him out in the game. And it's pretty much just a two-person project.
You can kind of really tell which sprites are made by Teddy and which ones are made by Toby, because Toby's not that good of a sprite
She does
artist.
more of the detailed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Toby did a majority of them. If you finish the pacifist ending, the credits will show you every monster, and it will say made by Toby or Temi, and most of them were made by Toby actually.
Okay.
Tutorial.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, so
All right.
I didn't know that. So
Get
these are
some
all not.
spreadsheets.
These are not made by Toby. These are the other person.
That may be Toby. I think like some of the more detailed stuff would probably be shared between him and the artist.
Things that look like they have like higher.
Well, that's not.
It's not even him.
No.
Now we're getting these are the fan art.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, one thing I didn't know Undertale was actually funded through Kickstarter originally.
Yeah.
Did anyone
So you guys
fund
wanna-
their?
Yeah. Did anybody?
Really? Okay. How did you even hear about it back then?
Our whole household was in the Homestuck family.
Oh, okay.
And so we followed Toby for a while through that, and then when the Kickstarter came up, part of the Kickstarter was very, very well funded for Undertale, partly because
Of the Homestuck
the
family.
Homestuck fan base is ridiculously huge.
How did that work? Did Toby like tell everyone, hey, I'm doing this other project, or was there like encouragement from the Homestuck community to like check out this other?
A little bit of both. I mean, my understanding was that there was a small community of people who were doing music for Homestuck, and Toby was just the most thorough and consistently there.
Yeah.
And so people got to know who the big contributors to Homestuck were. And so I think when he started his own project, there was some spillover, and Andrew Hussey directed some attention.
Yeah, he stroked two big fandoms, not just the Homestuck fandom, but also the Earthbound fandom with Starman.net, which he hosted like most of the ROM hacks in which he originally had done on there. So I'm pretty sure he had his following from that website as well. And they actually were the first website to host the first gameplay footage of Undertale on a live stream, which they did prior to the demo coming out. So yeah, he definitely got the right markets in there.
Cool. Wow.
And then I know a little bit earlier people were talking about different characters that had gotten into the game because of Kickstarter. So there's a Kickstarter level where you could invent your own character and get them as like a monster.
Essentially, 3 of them showed up.
Okay.
I believe. As far as I know, is Muffet, which is the spider boss. So Sorry, which was the elephant with the top hat or whatever he's doing, and Glide, which is kind of a generic NPC, but it has some really cool dialogue, which you encounter early in the game. So yeah, if there's any others, I'm not aware, but really cool stuff.
Maybe we should talk about enemies. So as far as I got, I think my favorite enemy so far, and I'm forgetting the guy's name, but I want to say it's like Jared or something. It's the guy that just complains and is on his phone. Yeah. And I didn't even know he did anything until later, like one of the monsters says, oh, he makes the other monster's attack take longer. So I would generally like let him in. But I like the fact that you don't really defeat him. You ditch him, and like other monsters ditch him too. Like the whole battle just ditches him and like leaves him behind as he like sits there and complains about no cell phone service.
I also like that if you don't defeat the enemies on time, they'll come back and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Jerry's back. Yeah. Yeah, he rejoins the
Oh,
group.
this dude. Oh, this guy.
Second one from the bottom that you just saw there, Woshu, is is also a very funny character with OCD that likes to
go up.
everything.
This one.
Oh, Wushu. Oh, with the duck.
Wushu.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, he wants to clean them.
Washer.
Definitely Washer.
You know what I mean?
About Jerry, actually Toby really dislikes Jerry. It's like his least favorite monster. In the pacifist ending credits, he's the only monster that doesn't show up.
Oh,
And he says like, I don't like Jerry.
Yeah, nobody likes
But,
Jerry.
I really enjoyed Aaron, just for the fact that like beating him passive wise is just flexing, and then he flexes himself out of the battle. But also, oddly enough, I like just figured this out like last week.
Oh, this dude.
If he's paired up with Washua, and you tell Washua a dirty joke, Aaron leaves. Aaron just like laughs and just leaves the battle.
I love his flexing, and then when in the battle, you see his like muscles coming up. It's very distinct.
Aaron's a bit of a Homestuck reference as well. Because there's a super buff character in Homestuck.
Yeah, a super buff horse-based character. I was also gonna ask about, and maybe know like so the last villain is also like an angry like fish lady queen that looks really similar to the Homestuck, one of the Homestuck villains.
The enemy, or what's her name? Undying. Yeah,
Undying. Yeah.
Yeah, she finally takes off her mask. Here we go. Yeah. She's like a fish face. It reminds me of you guys ever play Commander Keen? There's a character called the Dope Fish.
The dope fish.
Yeah, which I think they look the same, but maybe not.
Undying's got some of the most sort of side story too. If you sort of play through and befriend, there's a lot going on there. And she's very beloved in the thing.
Thanks for ruining my favorite NPC.
Like this, and then
That's
I mean, I guess they're different. Yeah. It's like it's classic platformer. So a lot of the characters had like different backstories. If you didn't kill them, then you could sometimes go on a date with some of them. I went on a date with Papyrus. I think that's probably the most common, I guess, of the dates that you might get to go on. And so I went on a date with him, and then I guess you do like a dating sequence where you have to like win the date or be the best dater. Was that the same case with Undying? Is there a similar scenario that comes out where you have to actually date?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Papyrus invites you to her house, and then you go on a date.
Then Papyrus leaves.
He did.
Through the window. Leaves.
He actually jumps out of the window.
You also get to see the houses of the different people, so you get a feeling for like where they live. And I remember with the tutorial, she had it was in her fridge, and there was like brand name chocolates or something. It's like something like one of my ex girlfriends might have had in her refrigerator.
So
dates, yeah.
So one of the things I was thinking. So there's one moment in this game that I really loved. And I think maybe we could go around. So like one of the things we do in the club is we do kind of like a round robin, and maybe we could talk about like the point in the game, like maybe like the apex that we felt that happened in the game,
like a favorite moment or something that really touched you specifically.
Yeah, I mean, so I've already got mine, even though I didn't play very far. But
let me think a second.
Okay.
I'll think of mine.
Okay, so my favorite moment. Can I kill this music for a second? Okay.
Before you go on, tell us what kind of run you're doing.
I'm doing I was trying to do a pacifist run, but I got stuck. So this is the first time I played the game. I've just heard a lot because I'm just a person on the internet that hears things. So it's really hard to get a lot of it spoiled. I mean, it's really hard to not get things spoiled. But I knew that in the game you didn't have to kill things. I knew that much. So I was trying to get through without killing anybody, and so I got to the point where, and I'm going to probably pronounce her name wrong, Toriel? Is it Toriel? Toriel. So Toriel is keeping me from leaving. And I don't know how to get past Toriel. Like, I do spare, I try everything, and I can't get past her.
So you killed her.
So I killed her. I killed her and I got past her, and I felt super bad. So I didn't save, and I went back and tried it again, and I figured out that you could do attack but then not swing. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. And then the flowers, like, I know what you did. Like, you felt bad, but it'll never, like, basically it'll always be with you. Like, you killed her. You murdered her. And, like, and the flower says something like, I thought I was the only one that could manipulate fate or time or something like that, but I'll always know that you murdered her. And, like, so now no matter, you know, I play through this game, I've always got that guilt over my head because it counted.
But did you load again? Did you try to avoid killing her after
Yeah, when I redid it, I did it without killing her.
The game is self-aware.
The game knew that even though I didn't save, it saved something.
The game is self-aware, but I think you can still complete a true passiveness run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just that it tells you that you're a murderer. Like, you think your conscience is clean, but you did murder someone, and you're trying to, like, erase that, but it actually happened. You are a killer. So, and that, for me, like, that was the moment for me where I'm like, I really love this game because it took, like, regular expectations in game design, being able to save and go back, and it just took those away from you. And even though it still behaved in a way that you would expect, it didn't, like, break the system, it reminded you that it knew, and you're not, like, getting away with anything. Like, it always knows what you're doing. So I really love that. So I still haven't beat it yet, but at that moment I'm like, okay, that was really, really smart design.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with the save files where they would keep track of what you did, and then I think the final boss, like for me, the biggest. There were a lot of great scenes. I think the game overall just felt really charming. Especially Papyrus was probably my favorite character. He had like the most charm overall, like compressed into him. And then I think Sans was my second favorite character, just because he was like cool and like kind of a slacker, and he seemed to know how the world worked. But the moment that really shook me was like I guess the final boss battle when you fight Flowery, and he turns into that giant kind of the Photoshop thing, and it was so disturbing, and I couldn't figure out why it felt so disturbing. And I think because they just you played the entire game in this 8-bit kind of world with a certain color palette, and then they move into this thing that it's a whole different art style. It's disgusting. It's like watching a horror film, and like the guts are all like spread out. It's very disturbing. And I also felt before that boss battle happened, I also felt like I wasn't really in control of the game because the game had like crashed on me. I think it crashed before that, or like right after I killed what's the king's name? Azeroth. Yes, it's like once I killed Azeroth, the game just crashed. So I thought the game. I did think that the game had crashed at that point. But then then I might have given up at that point.
So what was the moment?
I think I gave up at that point, actually. When the game crashed, I got pissed off and I stopped playing. And then I went online to watch some critical analysis of the film. And they were like, oh, wait, you have to turn it back on, and then the boss battle occurs. But anyway, when you're playing that guy, he keeps like resetting the save on you. So he like, I guess he jumps back and forth in time a little bit to kill you again and again and again. But it's like, normally I've played a lot of emulator games where I'll use the save file to kind of reset my save so I don't get killed. And in this case, the boss is like tearing me apart through that, almost in a sadistic way. He's like killing me again and again and again. And that was pretty disturbing. It reminded me like about. Did anyone see that Sonic Halloween cartridge, the Haunted?
Oh yeah, Sonic EXE.
Yeah, Sonic EXE, where it's like an evil Sonic cartridge. And it's
it has like jump scares. And
yeah,
stuff
it's like
in
a bunch of jump scares. That boss reminded me of that quite a bit. Yeah. So let's go around. Do you have a favorite moment in the?
Okay, my favorite moment is a bit of a minor thing, but I think it was just a little clever. It's when you find the Teddy shop. And you're able to, like, at the beginning, you're able to barter with this Temmie to get a bit more on your return. But there's also an option to put the Temmie through college. And after you're done doing that, when you barter with the Temmie, if you take it too far, it completely loses its, like, just like nonchalant, just like everywhere composure, and it's just like, stop. You sent me to college. I'm not falling for this.
Speaks perfect English.
It does.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. That's
More like.
Let's see. I got like two moments, I guess. For like the moment that like hit me the hardest was definitely the end of the Mettaton EX fight when the people were calling in, and then Mettaton like realized like what its purpose was.
Oh yeah, the fans like.
Yeah, it's like how it needed to like stay in the underground. And I thought that was just really like touching. Just like it had all these like lofty goals, but then it was willing to like give them up for other people. And then I also for anybody who went through the genocide run and got to Sands, although it was hard as shit, I had a lot of fun with that boss. And it's just rote memorization and skill, but it's fun.
Nice.
I thought the moment where I only played one run, and it was a true pacifist run. There was the moment where you're just about to meet Asgore, but if you just go to the right, you'll see all the coffins of all the other humans that fell down, and they're all different colors.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool because I'm like, oh, that's mine. That coffin's for me. You know, and then you have to go fight the guy.
Did it say like desperation on the coffin? Determination?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it said determination.
I like your name, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Your player character.
Well, the thing is, the player character is not you. That's the player character is Frisk. The one you enter your name as is the character that fell down all those years ago. So if you enter your name as Jeffrey, or whatever, the character that died all those years ago is actually Jeffrey. The player character is always Frisk, unless you do a genocide run, in which case you're a reincarnated version of whatever you entered the name as.
Although technically the player character is you, so you're actually not Frisk.
Sure.
Another entity as well. That the game actually acknowledges.
That you're not the player.
Yeah.
You are not the character. You're
Yeah.
That's closely related to my moment, which was when Sam explained what's going on with the points and the,
Oh,
and the leveling and stuff.
The big twist.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where I knew when I was playing through a pacifist run as best I could, and then when it sort of it wasn't just that, oh yeah, you can do this and that's cute there the game, but when I could see that there was actually that the game's real message was going on beneath all of that, and that there was this deeper story of characters and RPGs and all of that. Yeah, that was that moment.
Yeah, what was it again? It was XP is
Execution
execution points, and then level is love is
LV is
level of violence. Yeah.
Because all of a sudden at that point it goes from being the surface and the twist to the game to being a commentary on how RPGs work.
Yeah, when people got to that phase, were you aware that was what was happening? Because it was hard not to kind of spoil it for yourself because there was so much in the internet about it.
Well, I hadn't killed anybody. I did kill Toriel the first time, but I went right back and loaded, and I read online that if you go back and load, like you can still get the same ending as if you never killed her, but like it'll just remind you that you killed her.
Yeah.
So I did that anyway. I went back and loaded because I didn't want to kill her. But I never killed anybody, so I didn't know if they were going to really, really, really rub it in your face that you were killing people. I assumed they sort of would.
So actually, I'll just jump in. Like one of my favorite moments. I'll admit that I kind of cheated and like watched people actually play this game before playing myself. But like I watched like a whole playthrough of someone play the game, not on a genocide one, but killing all of the bosses. And so actually, like the whole game, in my opinion, is about like developing these like relationships with all the characters. You know, Undine and Papyrus and whatever. And kind of my two favorite moments were actually killing Papyrus and Undine in the non-genocide one, because it's quite different. And like you actually establish more of a connection there, and then you still kill him anyway, and you kind of feel bad about it.
I feel bad about killing Papyrus in the genocide run. Like I haven't personally done. I haven't personally done it. I haven't done a genocide run, but I know that Papyrus is Papyrus is the only character that actually believes in you, and everyone else is afraid of you. And even after you kill him, after you chop off his head, he's like, I still believe in you.
You can do better.
Roman, do you have a moment?
Not really a specific moment, but just kind of a sense of the game. It was kind of, I guess, meta-referential, callbacks to the various mechanics and whatever. Kind of reminded me of, like Metal Gear games or whatever. Just the way in which it draws attention to its own mechanical nature.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a good connection, like to the Metal Gear games. They get really meta on you.
With the save file thing, it always makes me think back. Well, you're breaking the fourth wall in video games, and the classic gaming fourth wall example for me was always Psycho Mantis. The Psycho Mantis, where you're like, well, Metal Gear had a lot of things, but the Psycho Mantis, put your controller on the table, and then he makes it vibrate, and then you have to plug the controller into the second port
To beat him, yeah. Otherwise, he knows what you're
And
doing.
then the other wonderful example of breaking the fourth wall in Metal Gear was you needed this radio code. And they kept saying, it's on the back of the CD, it's on the back of the CD. And you spend 4 days running around trying to find the CD case. And then you learn that it's on the CD case.
Yeah.
But you bought the game at Funkoland, so you don't have a... so you can't find it. But this game with the save file, it did a lot of that. Are there other examples where they broke the fourth wall? And when I saved...
I want to try to get
Okay, yeah,
everybody
let's keep
to a motion.
going,
We can bounce around. Third row.
Oh, I did beat the game. I only got up to 9. Full passes, so I met the scientist, and that was pretty much it. But up until that point, I would say the most charming to me, I didn't really have a particular favorite, was the sands at the bridge, the fires at the bridge, where I had to, by the second time I was attempting to beat the fires, I was like, just fuck it. and just throwing the battle just so I can push the story. And it's one of those situations where I was like, okay, this is not what I intended. I really wanted to be in, but I ended up just throwing the battle just to push the story. And it was just that's why I enjoyed it.
This lamp moment was pretty good. Where you hide behind the lamp. It's like...
Oh, yeah, that looks exactly like you.
Sands' introduction, it's like them zooming in on him, was just like, oh, this.
Yeah, when they're doing it.
Yeah.
I'll say, so I never did a genocide run. I did a run once where the only person I killed was Toriel, and I felt terrible about it. But I felt like it would be cheating to just go able to save file. I want to live with my mistake.
Yeah.
But then I just started reading about the genocide run, and it sounded so weird and unsettling. So I thought, I'll watch it. I don't want to play through it again. So I'll watch a YouTube video. So you watch it, and you do get the sense that the game is trying to criticize a certain sort of video game player or RPG player who just needs to obsessively do everything, and it starts calling you out the only reason you're playing through this genocide run is just to see what would happen. Sans starts saying stuff like that suggests that.
The completionist or something. Someone who's got to go all the way.
And then, I felt well, at least I didn't do that. And then he even calls out he's says something about, which is basically maybe you're just watching a video of this just because you have to see what's happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're still guilty for watching it. Yeah.
Did you catch the part? And you may have taken offense to this, where in the game they comment on people that are watching it on the internet. They actually are oh, that's pathetic. You could have bought the game and you're or something. It comes towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I think
got to the final boss.
Yeah, I think Flowey calls all the viewers cowards.
Yeah.
It did.
Are we cowards if we're watching it from the TV and not experiencing it?
Yeah.
I think a little.
Yeah,
it's less brave, maybe. Less noble.
You're not putting yourself on the line.
Yeah. It's easy. It's easier. It's much easier.
It certainly shows a lack of determination.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my favorite moment would be the entire pacifist ending, but I don't really want to spoil it just because I think it's that good. However, I can say that I've always had a soft spot for the Metaton X fight. The entire fight, just it was so great. Like first he's like this bloodthirsty robot, and then he just turns into this sort of like I don't know, pop star kind of thing. And he just like with these legs. that he keeps telling you that like I know you love these legs and stuff like that, but just the entire fight, like you're trying to get ratings up for the show.
Yeah.
That's unique. Like I like that more than just simply like choosing a set number of actions to end the fight. Instead, you actually have to think about how you act or acting at the right time and doing it quickly because the ratings go down the more you keep the audience waiting.
How did you get the ratings up?
So
What was the best way to get the ratings up?
The best way to get the ratings up is if you have low health and eat Metaton brand food. Like,
The branded food, yeah. If you have the burger, if you eat on-brand hamburgers.
And another thing is like switching like clothes or armor mid-battle to something branded, something fashionable. That also gets your ratings up so very fast. And another thing is like if you if you pose while having very low health, like 1 or 3 health, something like that. And the audience are like, or the game says like, you're very like hurt, but you still pose dramatically and something like that. And the audience are applauding and they love it. And stuff like that. But yeah, this entire fight, besides the pacifist ending, which I don't really want to talk about.
My favorite is also the same as his, but I gotta say every segment leading up to the fight is excellent. Every point in which you run into Metaton prior, he has these little segments that it's like a TV show, and it's all different themes of the show, like a cooking show to a newscast.
Yeah.
And then lastly, it takes a nod on Final Fantasy VI with the opera scene. That was a little overrated. I love the game, but I'm prepared for that scene. And they parody it, and it's great. And then after that, you drop down a hole, and you go right back to the trap in which you face Papyrus with, the color tile trap.
Yeah.
If you remember the complex rules in which
Yeah.
they're just like, hey, remember those rules that you just completely ignored? Hey, guess what? You're going to do it. I don't have any time to tell you. So the whole thing long.
Yeah.
It's genius.
It was something like there's blue tiles have alligators, but they weren't. They were afraid of lemon-scented things, and there's another tile that.
3 hours ago.
Yeah.
Is there? I guess it's probably possible to get through that segment. They only give you about 30 seconds.
The funny thing is, like, you can't die on any of these segments. Like it wants you to experience them. Like it's great.
You want
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of a more big picture thing. Just in the beginning, the first time I realized like what you have to do to interact with these characters is like when the little, I forget the name, the jello-looking one comes up, and you have to flirt with it. And you're like,
You have to wiggle.
Yeah. It's like, oh, now it's happy. That's great. And so like just that was the moment that I understood like, okay, these are going to be some really interesting, unique characters, even these every enemy that you come out to. And I mean, also just in general, this whole concept of like fighting in an RPG and having to actually react and dodge the attacks with physically using your reflexes to dodge the attacks. Because most RPGs, like maybe you'll hit a button and if you hit that one button at the right time, you're like, okay, dodge the one sword swing or animation. But like actually having to physically, your actual skill matching in the game, I thought that was just really well done.
Yeah, it's not menu-driven combat. It's
it's
kind of shmup. And then that reminded me of another thing I liked is when you're fighting. I think you're fighting Papyrus when or maybe it's Sans. One of them like turns it into you end up platforming and suddenly you have to jump like in the middle of the fight. Yeah.
Oh, the spider one.
No, you're fighting. I think you're fighting one of the skeletons because I remember it's Bones. Sans.
Oh.
It's both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you end up. Yeah, it goes from shmup to like a bullet hell basically to a platformer, like in the middle of the battle. And then you have to use the up arrow, which you've like never really used in battle before.
Oh, the spider. When the spider's pet is like chasing you up.
I don't know. Like, no, it's not the spider.
Isn't it this one? Isn't it this one where you go? Where there's like the thing and you're like it's coming up at you.
It's skeletons. It's
oh,
bones.
Oh, the one where you're just jumping over the bones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he really. even though he had that like the dodging of the stuff coming into your square, he really broke out of that box a lot with interesting ways, like whether he changed the size of the square or he did things like changing the color of the character.
Yeah, here now it's like a platform. You like suddenly jump in.
Hitler. It makes sense. He's like doing what the genocide or so.
Yeah, there are a lot of innovations in the game. I think that was the biggest gameplay innovation, where he did splice the two genres, like your classic, Japanese RPG with this spaceship shooter style mechanic. Yeah, it made it like usually when you're playing a Final Fantasy game, you're kind of falling asleep when you're waiting. You're just waiting to make that next move, and you're jumping through the menus. But this is a much more active scenario.
Yeah, it's an active battle system.
Some other interesting
The fact that they get to present each battle in a completely different way, like your heart changes colors, which changes the mechanics, and then they send obstacles at you representing what the enemy is like.
Yeah,
which was completely unique. It's very rare that you get to see. Well, the thing is, like, because it's 2D and the icons and symbols are very simple, they get to present these ideas to you in a much more straightforward way than some kind of symbolic attack that you might just write off as something that's not symbolic because you've been playing just you've been hitting the attack button the entire game.
Yeah.
So because it's a cross between the two, you get to see you're not attacking at all. You're just basically observing what the enemy's doing the entire game.
Yeah, there's a lot of character development. Like with this character here, he's got the character jumping around, and then he has the weapons that are shooting out. Sometimes he'll have a close-up portrait picture of the character, too, that has other expressions. And then all the characters have a lot of dialogue. So that's probably one of the greatest strengths of it's just the character development, the overall charm of the individual characters. This boss was pretty challenging. I killed this guy in the beginning. I think you're supposed to talk to him, but I didn't read the dialogue, so I just killed him. And then his brother comes back and tries to avenge his brother's.
The first dummy, this guy comes at you anyways and says, "What the hell did you say to my brother?"
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So there's no avoiding him. Getting these missiles to hit him was quite challenging. So some other innovations here, just in this menu system, is like, so we're all used to the classic fight option, and then items are a big thing.
Yeah.
But then
Mercy and Act.
Mercy and Act, those are pretty unique. It sounds like if you were doing the pacifist run, basically Act was your only thing that you were dealing with. That and Mercy. Is that the case?
No. And that's what really upset me about the end.
Because they got rid of...
Actually, no. All right. So the entire game, you think you're supposed to be just doing acts, right? Now, there's a point where you have to kill... Well, no, there's a point where the game tries to get you to kill Toriel.
Yeah, and that's when you realize there's other ways besides...
Yeah, basically, the first time most players choose the fight option is when they think that, if I just keep hitting act, it's just going to give me the same thing over and over, and nothing interesting is going to happen.
Yeah.
That's when Toriel breaks that rule. You're like, okay, well, there's no option aside from attacking her. And then you kill her, and then, you remembered because I downloaded this game and I found out that, I was told you're not supposed to kill anybody. So maybe I reload, and you reload and you find out that, if you act, you can talk to her, you keep talking to her forever and ever and ever. It takes like 20-something times, maybe 40. I don't know how long it takes. But once you're like, if you just keep doing the same action over and over with Toriel, it's a little bit different each time, but she'll eventually break down, and you won't have to attack her or anything.
Talking will actually not escalate the battle.
Yeah, you have to go attack and then not attack.
Spare like a million times. Because that's the thing.
Because that's what I tried to do, talking.
Was it the frogs? Yeah, one of the frogs in the tutorial section said that sparing means that you won't fight, so sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes you don't have to act to end the fight. So he was actually giving you a hint for the upcoming fight against Toriel.
Yeah.
You just spare like 20 or so times, something like that, and then.
Well, that's the thing. The entire game teaches you You never have to fight, and then the last boss destroys the fight menu, destroys the mercy menu, and then it made me think, okay, well, maybe I just have to lose to this guy a million times. You don't have to lose to him a million times. You actually have to fight him. You have to fight the last boss, but the entire game builds up to teaching you never ever have to fight,
Well,
and that's.
There was one point where a character says, eventually this won't always work.
Is that which one?
Ah, boy, I'm trying to remember.
It's before Toriel because that was the reason why I killed Toriel because some of the
Talk about says you're not always going to be using the after mercy.
Well, the thing is, the thing is, I would have been comfortable experimenting with the fight option if the game didn't teach me that every time I did something, I couldn't rely on the load state or the save state. That's the reason I absolutely hated the fight with Asgore. I thought that was awful. I loved the entire game, and I still really enjoyed the experience, but I thought that because the game was saving every action I did, I never felt comfortable with that last boss, and I really grew to hate it because the thing is, after you die the first time, it says, Asgore, you've talked to Asgore, and you ask Asgore, you remind Asgore, you've killed me once already, and he says, yes, I have, and he looks all remorseful. You feel like maybe if you die 10 times to the guy, something new will happen. Maybe if you die 11 times, because each time you die 11 times, it'll say, you died 11 times, as if something's going to happen. It changes a little bit here and there, but it doesn't let you win the game. Like, you feel like maybe if I keep dying against this guy, maybe if I keep throwing corpses at this guy, something will happen, but it doesn't. You have to attack the guy, and that pissed me off a lot.
And another annoying thing about the fight option in like the pacifist one is like, again, back in one of the tutorials, one of the froggets tells you sometimes you can attack enough to like weaken a monster, then they'll be weak enough to then spare them. That's a mechanic that works on some of the like regular monsters. But if you try to do that with Toriel, you'll get her low enough, and then suddenly you do a huge attack that kills her. So that teaches you don't actually want to do that. But that's actually what you have to do with Asgore.
Yeah. What is it?
Can you get the pacifist ending on your first playthrough?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no. Technically, no.
Well, you have to finish the game, then you have to reload your save.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I did. But that was the thing. Is there a way to?
No, you still have to fight Asgore. But you don't have to kill him. You have to weaken him.
Yeah.
But it does that jump thing too.
Yes, but it doesn't actually kill. It kills Toriel, but it doesn't actually kill.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For me, that's how I messed up my first fight with Toriel because I was trying to like not kill her the first time, and I kept on doing act and I kept on doing nothing. So it's just like, oh, how about I just like she's worried about me not being strong enough. So if I can like beat her enough in battle, and then it'll be me showing her like, hey, I'm actually strong enough to like have myself out in the world. And then it got to like that, like she has like a quarter hit points. Then you do one more hit left, and then just knocks everything down. And I was just like, oh crap! I was so sad because I did not want to kill her. I just wanted to prove myself, and she died. And apparently that was a glitch that Toby kept in the game because he liked it. And
But yeah, actually, there's if you go to the library in Snowden, it actually explains why Toby kept evolution in the game. Essentially, it says in one of the history books there, it says that the bigger the desire to kill, the more you will hurt. So the more you attack an enemy, the more damage you'll deal. At the final attack, you attack Toriel. The final time. The last time you attack her, you deal like 200 something damage. But yeah, it's part of the game's sort of theme.
That I think has been. I think that sort of bait and switch, and one of them is around Toriel, and one of them is around Asgore, where the game is really unclear about not only what it wants you to do or what is possible. I think has thrown a lot of people off. I've seen a lot of. I've seen a number of game critics get to one of those points and basically say, even if I liked what the game was doing, I'm not sure that I like it. This point threw me off, and they basically can't.
Well, the thing is, like, I respect a game that says, oh, don't trust our mechanics. Don't trust 100% on the mechanics. I get that. but then like I can't even trust my saves, so like I had to look something up. I was like, well, because the thing is like, even if you throw corpses at Asgore, if you just throw a bunch of corpses at him by dying at his feet a million times, the game still changes your interactions a little bit, suggesting to the player that, okay, so you died once, maybe I've seen that. I'm the game save file. I see that you've died once. I'm going to change it a little bit. That threw me off a lot. Like, by, giving me the hint that it's not like it was last time because I recognize that you died last time.
So we brought up the completionist idea a little bit. It seems like the game is kind of playing with that desire to complete everything and like get a little further. So in my mind, it feels like if you had never read anything on the internet, maybe the scenario you played it in is that you would go through it kind of normally, where maybe you kill a few people and then you get to the big twist at the end when you find out that actually it's dishonorable to kill people. And then you still beat the game, but then you try again as a pacifist. And then once you get to that point, there's still this last thing that you can complete, and that's the genocide run, where you actually can kill all your friends and mutilate their lives. And the only thing that's really driving you to create this kind of vicious act is the desire to complete everything.
To see the other ending.
To see the ending. So in a way, I don't know if Toby wants you to go there, but he's giving you the option to go there. If you feel like scratching this itch, you can scratch it, and it's not an easy journey to go on. It's challenging. It gets harder, but you can destroy everyone's life and ruin all your friends, and then you get this mark, almost this not the mark of the beast, but some not the scarlet letter. It's just some evil thing that you can never get rid of, like the sin that you can never wipe clean.
There's
for scratching that itch, and he lets you do it.
I beat the genocide run. So there's a couple of points. There's a couple of points outside of it and inside of it that really stuck out to me. At the end of the pacifist run, Flowey comes back out to you, and he says everybody has this happy ending. Look how happy everyone is. But we can always just reset it. And why would you want to do that and ruin all their happiness? But you can. And he kind of beckons you to do it. And that's when you can do the true reset. And that's the only in-way game to completely wipe your save file. And after that, I started going through the genocide run. And after you hit the first point of actually initiating the genocide run, which is killing all the monsters in the ruin, the whole tone of the game just absolutely changes. The music becomes superbly creepy and ominous. The towns are empty. Everybody has run away. And the thing that hit me the most was at the end when you finally get to Asgore. You have a similar interaction with him like you did in the previous runs, where he's just oh hi, how are you? But he turns around and is oh hi, how are you? What kind of monster are you? I can't tell. I haven't seen your type before. And I was wow. And just that little line just hit me really hard. It's just I know that's not what he means, but that's what Toby means.
Yeah, exactly. Even very early in the game, when you meet Papyrus in the genocide route, you actually don't hide behind the lab. You're just exposed right in front of him, and he shows up, he talks to Sans, and then he's did you find any humans? And it's there's one right here. It's no, I don't see any humans.
So there's, I think, 3 folks in the back that hadn't gotten to share their
Well,
ahas.
I was going to bring up the whole tutorial thing, but that's a common thing, I think.
Yeah.
We all thought that we tried talking to her and then killing her, and then the whole thing with Flowey saying, we go back and save. But I'm going to just do one moment, and it's been happening consistently throughout the game, is just, I like the comedy style of this game. How it just takes on so many cliches and tropes of the RPG genre, and my favorite was when you go to the town, the first town, and you go to the store. And normally with RPGs, you have a stock of shit you just want to get rid of.
Yeah.
And so I tried to do that. Unfortunately, the store owner told me, why the f would I want to buy your shit? I not buy it. And just other things, you know, at the hotel, you know, oh, you slept for 2 minutes, here's your money back.
Yeah.
I think that just games, that most comedy in games, unless it's a really like bonkers, just like out of this world type of game, like or like a more like cartoony, like a Ratchet and Clank or something.
Yeah.
They tend to do comedy, like, but for other games that like are self-aware, it tends to fall into its own traps. This one doesn't fall into its own traps. It does it in a way where it's not like embarrassed. And it's not like being mean spirited, but it's kind of like learning on sleeve, like an homage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that's what I'm liking about the game.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the Tembi shop is like the only shop that you are able to sell stuff in.
Yeah, it's more of an homage than a parody. Like, it's like, you guys remember this stuff too, you know, it doesn't necessarily make sense in real life.
Speaking of homages, I love how heavily this game holds all of its influences on its sleeve. Like, it's so easy. If you played games in the '90s or something like that, there's plenty of influences that you can pick up. Like you might see from prior. Like I can see a lot of heavily influence from Game Story. I can see a lot of heavy influence from Mother Earthbound, and oddly enough, Toho, and like a whole bunch of games that are just around that general generation. You can just pick them up so easily. And I know it's some games that can be a little bit obnoxious, but it's very charming in this sense. I like it works.
Cool. And what about you guys?
I mean, they're just dorky hangout times, I guess.
I've yet to get games.
Yeah, it's like when you play the pacifist route, it just the characters get so much more exposure and character development that it's just so much. It's worth playing for at least once.
Yeah.
And then resetting to kill everybody and everything.
Yeah, and something that something that you find like the character development of the monsters is so interesting because to give an example, again for Aaron and Shiren, when you encounter Shiren, you're like trying to I think one of her the ways of pacifist is beating her in the fight is you try to get her to sing. And like right before she sings, she like looks back, and then it says Aaron's behind a corner, and gives her a reassuring nod, and then she sings, and then it was just that was just so random and just weird and cute.
Is anybody in the way back that's kind of part of co-working?
Yeah, these are special
jump
moments. What was your special moment with the game?
Special moments.
Yeah.
I beat it in the pacifist run, besides also accidentally killing Torio and then resetting it.
Wow.
But I think there's extra gameplay, if I'm not mistaken, in the pacifist run. And I won't say what it is, but it was. I really, really enjoyed that part. And it was actually a very creepy area, which I kind of like that you get rewarded for being a pacifist by this really creepy section. And I played it because I was really interested in the music, and the music in that part's really beautiful and plays on the nostalgia for the game.
Yeah. I think he sampled music from Earthbound or something because he sampled some of the trumpets or certain songs.
Yeah, he does. And just and also with that part, that when I got to that part of the run, it really made me fall in love with the game because I was just so impressed with how much more there was getting to that run, getting to that point of the run, and how it wasn't just switching up dialogue and gameplay and characters. It was a whole other area.
Yeah,
was just so well done.
And then I ended up playing for 5 hours straight because I thought it was over. It just kept going and going.
So this game seems like it was intended to be played at least one more time, maybe a second time if you want to do the Genocide run. It makes me think of Castlevania Symphony of Nights or something, where I think you beat halfway and then there's like an upside down castle. But a lot of people don't even know that there's another part there.
It's like Ghosts and Goblins, where you get to the end and then it sends you back to stage one and do it all over again.
But that's the same. It's the same game, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the same game, but it's a little harder.
Oh, but that actually reminded me of like when I beat Cave Story. I thought it was over, and then it turned out that I could have saved Curly and had like a whole other like level that's really the end level. I was like, oh, that was anticlimactic, and I didn't even know. Like I found out online because it seemed like okay, I beat the game, it's over.
That's a pretty typical thing in like the tradition of most '90s games. It's a lot more grueling in experience when you're playing games. Like there's a certain amount of just either grinding or there's like the death redeath. I feel like this game is really. I mean, it points a lot at like you can choose to not kill people, but I think it also just like points to the whole like the game is over when you die. The game is over, people don't die. It's like I always used to think about how like games, whether you win or you don't win, that the protagonist dies because it's like you turn off the machine and then the game and then the avatar is like either sleeping or dead basically until you turn it back on again, and then they're like basically respawning. And I think that this is a really great pointing in that actually versus. Found that initially like working in it kind of a turnoff, frankly, because it's a shmup. It feels like a shmup sometimes.
Yeah, it does have Xbox controller support, but it's not the
But it
best.
doesn't have like PS4 controller support,
No.
and it doesn't have, like you just said, it doesn't have a lot of very good Xbox
No, it
controllers.
doesn't.
I wish that they would do an update to have that controller support because I feel like as good a game as it is, like without that, it's almost like they're kind of like alienating for the sake of Luddism.
Uh-huh.
I understand that that's a conscious choice, but I don't understand if that's just like bad design.
I'm not really sure how much of that is the influences of the platform, though. I mean, it's coded in Game Maker, and it's kind of inextricable from this point from that particular, environment.
Actually, I played the entirety of my game on controller.
That's true. I played it on Xbox.
Yeah, I played it on a Logitech controller that has X input.
So you guys have been doing it like with controllers then?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
cool.
playable.
That makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, like if it's like an X input controller,
I don't
like
think
Xbox
that's like
controller.
total newbism right now. But I think with Steam, it's like that's kind of something I run into a lot. It's like, oh, does
Yeah.
it support PS4? Does it not? Like I feel like Mac and PS4 controllers are really specific, like combo of fuck up for like Steam.
But there's no achievements and stuff. It does feel like that he's like very happy with the way it is. He's kind of an.
I believe he'd like to do more. I mean, despite that he's put so much detail into this game, he is limited by Game Maker. Like he doesn't have any programming language experience, and he wouldn't know how to implement these things into there. It's amazing how he did this game with all that what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I don't think he's going to get any better controller support. I don't think we're going to see console ports.
Yeah, there's that actually reminded me of like a funny tweet I saw that people were reposting where he like had some line of code or comment that he had on Twitter, and then somebody commented like, do you really have like a 200-line case statement here? And he's like, yeah, don't tell anybody I don't know how to program.
Not just that, the music too. Like,
The music's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to write or read music. Like it's all off ear. It's all done with free samples. Like it's awesome that he managed to pull that off.
So this game was a huge hit. This is like I guess the indie hit of the year, and it's also a great story because it's like the one guy that made this game, and he didn't know how to program when he started. He did all the music by ear, so it's kind of this auteur that's bringing the game to us.
Like an outsider auteur.
What's that?
Yeah.
An outsider auteur. Yeah, he's not in a major city. I don't know where this guy lives. He's kind of a recluse. Like I was at GDC 2 weeks ago, and he was nominated. He didn't show. His booth was just empty, and no one was there, or his stand at the Independent Game Festival. In fact, he did win the Audience Choice Award, And instead of coming up to accept the award because it wasn't there, he had a video of the dog coming and the picture of the award. And the dog went over the award, and then like I guess it like took in the award and just went away. So the dog, I guess, is I guess it's him or something.
Yes,
It's a reference.
like it shows up a lot in the games. And it's always like hidden, and it's supposed to be him, essentially.
But this game really struck a chord with a mass audience. I mean, we brought up Cave Story earlier. Like Cave Story was popular, but it wasn't really a huge hit.
I felt like it was a real turning point. Like people will still talk about Cave Story as like
it was a great game. I would say it's on the same caliber as this, but it's just different type of game.
It is a different type of game. But it's the same situation. Like the guy that made Cave Story is just he was a programmer that just on his own time he had like an office job, go home, work on his own game, and then ended up making a really cool game.
This is a mod. Like you never find out.
This isn't in the game.
Yeah, you never.
Oh, this is a mod. Okay.
Yeah. You're watching.
Okay.
Let's watch the.
Office in any of the 3 runs.
Let's watch the award animation if you can find it.
Yeah, it wasn't online. Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
But the question is like, what is so interesting about this game? Like, why do you think it struck a chord with people? Because so it did splice a few genres. Like you got your JRPGs and the spaceship shooters, and then it does really think about player choice. But why did it really touch an audience?
So we got like 3 already.
I think the DNA of this game, in terms of the HUD, the fighting HUD, is people talk about Phantasy Star and all that stuff. But I think someone that is actually alive at the time and played games at the time, I think this is like spot on Phantasy Star 2. And that was one of the biggest fucking games in Sega Genesis era. Like that was a huge game. And this is like, it just looks like and it smells like that game. And that was a huge game at the time. People were going crazy for it. And it really feels like Phantasy Star 2 to me. It's just like, in terms of a certain like layer. And I think the fact that it does that, and like, there's probably other layers of like meaning and like and references for other people.
So
I think the fact that this person was just such a clever historian about, and it was just because of the passion they had for it, that it really is what made the indie, all the indie love.
So it's got the right pedigree.
It just had the right pedigree.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it was, the guy has good taste.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good taste.
Yeah, you can see a lot of influences from the unique RPGs just put in here. Like I don't know why I was not expecting to get the idea of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga in here. Like there's just so many games that I was kind of surprised. Like wow, you definitely drew influence from that game. Like
Like even in the Wikipedia page that we had open earlier, it said that he took influence from Superstar
Yeah,
Saga.
when I read that, I was like, oh my god, I can feel that.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah, it's like.
Sorry.
One thing I just thought of was at the end of the Wrath of Khan when Spock said when Kirk took the epitaph, it's like, of everyone I've ever known, Spock was the most human. And all these monsters are really showing like human personalities and human faults and human everything. And so I think everyone can find something that's either a part of themselves or someone they know that they can relate to in all these different enemies.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. Like not only with the characters, but just with the amount of detail put into the world. You would assume insignificant monsters, they had characterization of their own. All the NPCs and bosses are like 3-dimensional characters. If you see something in the background, there's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
And like
everything's intentional.
There are so few games that just have this completely like encompassing, like immersive feel to it, where it just feels like a complete world. And Undertale really, not only does it get that off in the feel of the world, but it is there on top of being an interesting and fun game.
Yeah, like as much as I like procedurally generated game environments, like I'd always much rather have one where I know that the artist put everything there with intent, and there's like meaning behind the things in the environment, rather than just random program decided that tree should go there.
It's amazing like how it never wastes your time, especially because it's a JRPG. The most time wasting of genres. Even though there's random battles, almost every random battle is unique, like hugely unique with its own dialogue, with its own characters and art. It's just totally zero bullshit, which I think is cool. It's one of the few games where when I played it, I was like, I want to tell people who don't play games about this.
Yeah.
Because they won't be like scared off by like, yeah, you have to build experience
Yeah.
points to gain levels, and that'll make like there's none of that. It's great.
Yeah, I think like you can't underestimate like the core of this game is that pacifist ethos. Like I think like we were talking earlier about like what are the expectations the game sets when you first play it. If you look at like the Steam store now, there's like it doesn't tell you much about the game. If you go back and look at the Kickstarter, Undertale is a game where you don't have to kill people.
Yeah.
If you look at the Kickstarter, it tells you everything about the game. So that's kind of like the core of all of the like design. Like it is a JRPG where you don't have to kill people.
Yeah.
That completely changes how you play the game. Well, it can completely change how you play the game.
So there was a blueprint, and I guess the community that helped forge that blueprint was the Homestuck community, partially. So whatever values I don't know that community brought to it, it kind of comes through. The game as a filter for a large group of people, maybe, or
yeah, I know you had your hand up for like a while. Sorry.
Just the psychological to the game are really powerful. I don't think I've beaten a game in a very long time. I really recommend this to me. And like, I have a lot of friends who got this game, and when they accidentally killed Toriel and got yelled at by Flowey, they just quit. And like, they're friends that I watch like horror movies with all the time. They couldn't handle that. Or like, there were times when I quit because I didn't know what to do, and I just got frustrated, and then like a month later I'd figure it out and come back to it. Or like it crashing for you, and you think it actually crashed.
Yeah, I was like,
screw it.
Yeah, screw this. Yeah.
But then if you eventually turn it back on, you know, like all those little things that we're also used to, like it uses them as a tool to like kind of surprise us.
Yeah, did anyone play the Stanley Parable?
Yeah.
Where that game really makes you think of, it kind of checks your decisions before you make them. And there's a little bit of that, just enough to... Yeah.
I think one thing I found interesting about this game is how so much of the different ways of playing the pacifist run, you save everybody, the genocide run, you literally kill everybody. It's baked into the game itself. It's not an extra challenge on top of the game. It's not a meta game that's created by the players like a low-level run in Final Fantasy or something. This is something which was anticipated by the designer himself.
I love the changing game mechanics though, where almost every boss fight tries to make itself a different type of game mechanic, where you'll just tear the floor out from you, and it's just something completely unexpected. Like Sandsford, I want to say the genocide run though, unfortunately, like it has difficulty spikes. It is not consistent, and I'm sure everyone knows just how notorious Sans is. That fight drove me so mad. I'm not a fan of video games. I spent an entire day off from work, like, just trying to beat Sans. And I don't feel satisfied when I finally beat him. I was driven to drink. I can't believe I got, like my senses and my muscle memory for this was obviously not at its best. And I managed to beat him like that. Now I'm afraid to touch. I don't ever want to play any of the Dark Souls games or any blood like that. I'm afraid it'll turn me into an alcoholic. I just gotta say though, like I do love how he changes it up and makes it every boss battle is something better. It's unique.
Okay, as somebody who is a big fan of Dark Souls and who's attempted a soul level 1 run in the first Dark Souls, the Ornstein Bros, they stopped my run. I thoroughly enjoyed the Sans fight. It took me forever, but like just the raw memorization of everything, like anticipating what was coming next. A very interesting thing that I thought was put in there was that every time you use a healing item, it pauses the sequence, and it's a total, I think it's a 15-turn sequence. And you have to survive it, but using a healing item pauses that. So you have to really strategically choose when you use your healing items, and just learning all the moves and like being an expert to like do these pinpoint precision moves each time was just a lot of fun for me. But maybe that's because I also enjoy slightly slightly masochistic games.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Did you ever do fists only in Dark Souls?
yeah.
that is masochistic right there.
To be fair, I don't think Dark Souls is as hard as the sounds.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because I do feel like the Genocide Run really, at every opportunity, is like yelling at you not to do this and like trying to make you feel bad for doing it. But like this boss fight is in a way giving the sort of people who do that exactly what they want. You know, the people who are like real hardcore completionists and really just have to do the genocide fight are also the sort of people who really, really love like this kind of challenge. I think.
That's part of what I really love about it, is that it is saying, yeah, if you want to do completion, go for it. There are some amazing challenges there. You'll get to see it all. But let's think about what's really going on in the world for you to do that. Like, let's think about what it means, because that's an attitude you have that's outside the game, right? I want to see everything. Whether or not the game puts it in the world is an attitude that exists outside the game. I love that this says, fine, you can play this way. We've considered this. But here's what it means to the characters.
You had a
Well, kind of sidetracking away from the gameplay thing, but I think it's just fantastically written.
It's very funny, yeah.
You know, I can think of a lot of games where the gameplay's either sufficient enough or great, or the writing's just shit. And so, you know, I don't want to say names like David Cage or anything, but you know, for a guy who had no programming experience, or I'm going to guess writing experience, you know, this seems like it was written by like top level like game writer, or just a writer in general. I just think that's like funny and shit how not once does it feel like at all pretentious or like it was written by a fine. It's just fantastically written, and that's what I'm most amazed about this game, especially with the budget that it had, and just you know how little they had. They made it one of the best written games ever.
I feel like a big part of the reason that it's very well written is because it was designed and written all by the same guy. Like you could
automatically cohesive.
You couldn't make this game if like it was done by mostly two people. You know, like this had to be done by mostly one person. Otherwise, the writing just would.
There'd be conflicts.
Yeah, there'd be conflicts, and like you know, I'm doing the writing, I'm doing the gameplay. You know, and then all of a sudden there's two different worlds, and you realize, oh, okay, so I'm talking to this character. It'd be like other games where you know. I'm talking to this character and they're saying stuff to me like, don't get killed out there. I'm like, I don't give a shit if I get killed out there. I'll just load again.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch that? Sans just said, yeah, you're the type of person that will never be happy. This is great.
The amount of times
I feel like fighting Sans though is an oddity because just to get to this fight, you're gonna have to go look on. Like, I mean, like if you really caught it from actually in the gameplay itself, the conditions to get here. Killing 10 enemies or 20 enemies in a certain area, like it knows you're a completionist. It knows that you want this challenge. Like it's not like a stop in the road. Like
you don't get here by accident.
You don't get here by accident. Yeah.
The game makes sure you know that.
It's about the journey, not the end.
You had a
one thing I particularly like about this game is like pretty much any other game where you just kill everything and you're not really aware that you're a murderer. Like if you think about it, Link and Mario are murderers. But anyway, back to the point. Every character, the thing that I particularly like is every character can be redeemed in some way. Like not all of them deserve to die. Like even Asgore and Flowey at some point, I don't want to spoil, they will like turn good, like and the game even like has this thing where every character that has no intent to kill you, they just play the regular like sort of 8-bit music, but then when you fight Undying the Undying in Genocide or you're fighting Sans, they have these like huge like orchestrated tracks. That's kind of, or at least from what I heard, is like symbolizes that the character actually has an intent to put you down.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to on that I love the way that the music incorporates like the mechanical themes of the game. Like for example, in the neutral or pacifist for Undyne, Papyrus, and Asgore, each one of those fights starts off with you for Papyrus and Undyne, you get like a sample of their theme song beforehand, and it's in a very chiptune fashion. And then, yeah, which is coming up. But when the mechanics change, yeah. When the mechanics change and like when you first turn blue or you first get like the DDR thing with fucking Undyne, or you get or the Mercy bar gets destroyed with Asgore, that's when the music changes, and that is something that I just really thoroughly enjoyed. Just like how like it became more bombastic, it became more like almost orchestral as opposed to this chiptune sound that was right before it.
Yeah, like just a particular detail that I really like about the game is when I found out that you can't. When I found out that you actually cannot die during the tutorial battle, apparently it's like it actually makes perfect sense with her character. Like she's this mother figure that really cares for you and doesn't want you to go to the outside world, so you have to fight Asgore. So it makes sense that she, like, if she actually kills you in the game, like, well, that doesn't really make sense for her character. Like she can. She can. No, she can. But
Yeah, it's her. I got killed by her actually. Yeah.
No, I think it's like the demo version.
No, what it is, like her attacks go at you and then move away from you.
Yeah.
So if you hold still, you're good. But if you're like me and you're like all twitchy all over the place, you'll still run into them and get killed.
The condition that she'll kill you is if you actually start attacking her and then you actually let her kill you. Then you'll
Okay.
die. And I know because right before she kills you, she's the only character that's going to change her expression on her face that she did not mean to do that. She looks shocked, horrified that she kills by accident. Yeah, so she can kill you. It's not easy.
Seriously, I think it was like the demo version, really?
I actually got it in the...
Yeah, I think I got killed by her one time.
Her attacks start dodging.
Yeah, it goes like this.
Yeah, you get to 2 health and then she starts attacking.
So if you take 3 or 4 damage, like you go from 3 or 4 before she starts doing that avoidance, all the way to 0. In one round, she doesn't get a chance to start avoiding you, and so she can actually exit. But that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I think that happened to me inadvertently.
But yeah, she's like, oh, I didn't.
You can't die from Papyrus either.
No, that's the best.
Well, he blocks you back in the shed every time.
Oh yeah, he locks you in.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I keep getting locked in the shed and walking out again.
What is it? I had watched a friend. I had a friend go through the game this week, and she still hasn't finished it yet. But she couldn't beat Papyrus because she just sucks. So she kept on dying to Papyrus, and I was seeing it's like, oh, I didn't know that Papyrus puts you in a jail. And then she kept on losing, and then I learned one by watching her, and then another from hearing somebody else that one, if you can just like give up on the fight, and Papyrus will just let that happen. Like he can just be like, you know what, it's obvious that you cannot fight me because you love me so much, so I'm just gonna let you through. And then the other one is if you just keep on fighting and keep on losing, Papyrus will just like let you through anyway. And that's.
I actually kept losing to Papyrus and I couldn't figure out why. And this actually goes back to the controller issue. So I was playing with a Steam controller, and it was set up so that I could actually like hit diagonal buttons. So that like totally wrecked me on the Papyrus fight. I like just as soon as I changed that to allow diagonals, I got it.
Great. Well, should we final thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think that last round was sort of final thoughts.
Yeah. So final, it's final mark. So, do we feel like this is this? I mean, is this a modern classic? And will we see future games going on actually incorporate some of the ideas? What do we think the most significant ideas this game has brought
I think
to
the
the
most
table?
significant idea is how each battle has the attacks and represent the enemy in a way that is kind of different than any other, because
So right in here where the
Yeah.
this kind of play field.
Yeah,
That,
that square, because
Yeah.
not only did the square change shape and all of these other things happen within it, the rules within that changed, but very little. I mean, it's just like, I think it's one button and then 4 diagonal buttons, and within that, you got to see a whole bunch of sprites from different characters. I don't know. I mean, each battle was different because you had to avoid different stuff and you were confined to the rules of whatever enemy you were fighting.
Yeah, and you had your hand up for a second.
Oh, I think the biggest thing that we're going to probably be able to take away from this game is the fact that if you're a completionist and your first instinct is to do absolutely everything, there is no other game I can recall in recent memory that has made me feel terrible about being who I am. And if this had been like any lesser quality, that would have been forgotten, and other games would probably take that in the future and try to recreate that feeling, and they would have done it better. But the fact that this game did it, and it was just so amazing at the same time, I feel like that aspect has been like ruined for many future games. No one else is going to do it the way Undertale did it.
That actually reminded me of I was a Chrono Trigger completionist, and the fact that if you want Frog's good ending where he turns back into Gwen, he's not stuck a frog anymore. You have to kill Magus. So there's no way to get both. If you let Magus live, then he's just a frog the rest of his life. You have to kill a character rather than include him in your party if you want him to turn human again. Yeah.
Kind of the negative side.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to see is a lot of imitations on Steam Greenlight. They're going to be all dog shit using this engine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, that's kind of how it already is with game makers.
This is going down.
This is so sad. For me, I think this is one of I think this is probably the best game that I've seen that has done mechanical storytelling well. Because there's certain things that are medium specific to video games, and up until recently, people have really just only been focusing on environmental storytelling. Just you can put things in the environment, and as the player explores, they can figure it out. But this game really explores the way to go through mechanical storytelling by using the actual mechanics of the game to tell the story that it wants to tell, or to also go along with the story that it wants to tell. And there are very few, I think, really only the only thing that comes to mind is Metal Gear that has really used the mechanical parts of the game to help with the storytelling. But even in Metal Gear, it's not done to the degree of importance that it's done in Undertale.
Mostly just for jokes or
Yeah.
whatever. It's so clever, but the actual story really is almost entirely.
It's it's written, or it's
Yeah.
Except for the most recent.
Yeah.
What's that back there?
I just want to expand upon that, especially with the whole good and bad mechanic that we see a lot in games, but it's just so black and white, and in the end, it really, like Mass Effect, you're either a good guy or you're an asshole, and everybody treats you as is, but nothing really you don't feel any there's really no big world change except maybe you can't get somebody in your party or a different name, but with this, it just you feel like there's something just more. Okay, no, go ahead. Maybe you can figure out.
It changes.
What is that? What people want? They want a more gray moral compass. We don't. Do we not like the good and evil anymore? We want something that's a little more thoughtful.
Yeah. Oh, what you did was what you did is good, or what you did is bad. It's something that reminds you about what the morale of what the choices that you're doing is taking in its effect on the world. I guess I hope I'm making a little bit sense. Maybe somebody else here.
And that makes the game feel more real or more memorable.
I would think he's trying to get on the point of it's more realistic because life isn't black and white.
Mhm.
And there are going to be moments in your life where either you have good intentions and things come out badly, or you do what's best for yourself and it negatively affects others, and you're going to feel bad about that, and you're going to have to live with that. And that's not something that a lot of games explore. They don't typically explore the lesser of two evils decision. it's more of like this binary morality where it's just like you're either a good guy and good things happen because you're a good guy, or you're a bad guy and bad things happen because you're a good guy. There's very rare decisions where it's just like you're doing what you think is best, and there are good things that are going to come out of that, and there are bad things that are going to come out of that, and you're going to have to live with both of those things. And Undertale, I think, very well does that, at least in the neutral realm.
Do you think audiences are going to desire more and more of that kind of more sophisticated moral?
I think audiences already desire that, and I think it's evident in the more recent trends of like anti-hero television shows, but it hasn't really picked up on the gaming scene just yet. I'm hoping that it will soon.
I mean, there's games like The Witcher where you have like this very gritty, morally gray stuff. I think it doesn't do it as well because it's like you're just kind of this anti-hero who has like no real morality. He just bumbles around doing what he wants. Whereas in Undertale, you actually have
it's a job.
There's a
You feel bad.
there's a clear morality in Undertale. Like there is a right answer to.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, it's not terribly. You don't really hit any circumstances where you're like, oh, I don't really have a choice between. Like you're never making.
Difficult moral decisions.
Yeah, it's never.
More like a gradual kind of creeping up on you.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, you can always choose the right option. There's never like kill this guy or kill that guy. It's always don't kill anyone. I mean that's always the best option.
It's just that
but it's still well written.
You care. It's not like when you're playing Mass Effect or whatever. It's like I'm going to play as a good guy because I want to be good, and I'm going to do all the good things and get the good points. But you don't care. And this, you don't want to kill anyone because you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Which is I think what it reminds me of more is something like Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
Like these sorts of games where you play them and like you start to realize that your actions are bad and or whatever. Like,
but if you can't complete your actions, then you don't get the bad thing that you didn't want to happen. Like on the Mass Effect thing, there was a one thing that I thought Mass Effect did interesting in 2 and then fumbled on in 3, and that was the Geth-Porian conflict. And when in my playthrough, I advocated for both the Geth and the Quarian to fight for the right to exist. And but then in 3, the resolution like it was kind of cool to like make them fight each other and then like resolve it. But then the resolution was still kind of crappy because it's either one of them was going to die or they're both going to be friends, and there was no real middle ground in it. And that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
It was kind of like just poorly done.
Yeah, I would say it like that.
Hey, man.
I'm time for the talk.
Yes, you're just in time.
Yeah, I would say that actually another game made by BioWare that does it better than Mass Effect would be Dragon Age. And I mean, it's still not perfect, but there are a lot of decisions and choices that you make in it that don't really have like a good. Yeah, it's like not all the decisions that you make that affect the world state will make it better or worse. Sometimes it's this choice between what's evil or lesser evil kind of.
Well, guys, we should probably bring it to a close. Hanero, what was your favorite moment in Undertale?
I think between that final battle reminds me a lot of Jaigas from Earthbound.
Which one?
I like the music also matches with the mood in the battle when you start battling. The battle feels like overwhelmed you and you have no hope. The start
Yeah, there's like jazz music behind this scene.
And yeah, the music sounds more hopeful when you go to that. And then finally, when you get all the souls, you make like a strong feeling to beat the boss.
Yeah.
And also, I like the final battle against Sans, but I never will be able to beat him in the genocide.
Oh, you got to Sans in the genocide?
Yeah, but I couldn't beat him because it's too freaking hard.
I have a question. Is Sans a boss in the pacifist run?
No. Only the genocide. It's like he judges you for your sins, and or the judgment scene that happens in the end, he always spares you. But if you kill everybody, he will not show any mercy.
He's not in the neutral one.
Oh no, he's not a mutual run or pacifist run. Only,
Well,
only
he
genocide.
is, but he's a NPC,
Sure.
supporting characters. Well,
Sure.
unless you kill his brother, Papyrus.
Yeah, he builds up to it. Where he'll, in the genocide, he'll start to say like, if you keep on the way you're going now, you're gonna have a bad time. And then later, when he fights you, he
And
says,
also,
at that time.
another interesting thing is when you actually beat the genocide route, you summon Chara, the devil incarnated and corrupts your game file, because if you try to make another passive run, at the end changes
Mhm.
and for the worse. So yeah.
And also,
actually, the worst ending supposedly is when you complete a genocide run and then do a true pacifist run, because at the end of a true pacifist run, you break down the world between the monsters and the humans, but you're still Chara, the reincarnation of ultimate evil. So not only have you broken the barrier between humans and monsters, but you've let the ultimate evil, which is you, out into the world.
Yeah, like there's a photo of you with the other monsters that you saved at the True Pacifist run at the very end. And if you do the genocide before the True Pacifist run, then that photo will have every head of the other characters just sliced off.
And then like, right before that, I thought it was a really interesting thing is after you beat the genocide run, Chara breaks your game, and then it's just black screen with like wind noise, and you have to wait. You have to wait 10 minutes till Chara comes back and asks you to sell your soul to play the game again.
Yeah, it's like a creepypasta.
Yeah, that's creepypasta. So guys, yeah.
So we have. So we're thinking of what we should do for next game of the month.
Let me do this support thing.
Okay.
So anyhow, we have to. We do just want to pass around a hat and see if there's any donations for the space. No obligation, but the Babycastle space does cost money, so we just want to pass that around.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested, they also have like a Patreon or a PayPal, but it's just every month, it does cost money to run the space. Also, this is co-working night, so every Monday they have a co-working space that's actually free. So I don't know if anyone is a game developer. Is anyone making games here or working on games?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's cool. We're also game developers.
So that's what these guys are doing in the
so
back.
those people in the back that are just hanging out, they're actually working on video games as we speak. I think. Is that what you guys are doing? So they do have free co-working space on Monday from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. So it's a nice place if you're just looking for a laptop to come and check out.
You can become a member to do co-working on a weekly basis, but Mondays are free and Mondays go super late at night.
And Babycastles also has co-working during the day, but they have this weird program where I think it's like $50 a month, and then you can come one day a week. But
no, you can come multiple days a week.
Oh, is it multiple days?
Yeah. Maybe Frank would be a good person to explain.
Yeah.
Cool. So, well, thanks.
But thanks a lot. I really appreciate
more
it.
than we expected. So we should think about what we want to do next month. So Frank will be our ringer if nobody decides that they want to host. But the way it works is if you have a game in mind that you want everybody to play, that's cool. But you also have to host the talk.
But we'll help you host. You won't be all alone.
Yeah. You can.
We'll play.
One of us
can
can co-host with you and help moderate.
Final Fantasy VI.
Okay.
So you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
any other things? Yeah. What else we got in the hat?
I was going to suggest read-only memories.
That we've been thinking about for a long time too. So let's put that on the bucket list. And would you want to host that?
Maybe.
Okay.
If I could make it the whole way through the game at least once.
I've actually thought about doing a dark room because it's something that you can play on your phone.
Oh, a dark room, yeah.
Something you can play on your phone, you can play it on a website, or you can play it for free on your phone. So
that was a good
cool. That sounds good too. So yeah, let's have those we can kind of stack them up, and those can be we'll figure out how we'll figure out people's schedules when we get there. But yeah, Roman, if you want to do Final Fantasy VI.
If you ever do Silent Hill 2, I want to host that one.
Oh, okay. Silent Hill 2, yeah, I've never played that.
I was actually going to do Silent Hill 1 because it's a little bit simpler.
Well, I mean, the thing is, one's way more complicated. The story is way more complicated.
There's also part of me thinks that it would be nice to have some variety variety to things other than like games with big story arcs.
Yeah.
There's this platformer for the Amiga called Turrican 2 that looks really cool, like kind of Metroid style, and has an awesome soundtrack. And that might be fun, but that would also, I don't know if it was ever out on any other platform.
Well, we could probably get an emulator or something.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
That looks 80s.
It's done by Rainbow Arts here.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Wait, so are we
Well,
want to go with that?
Well, yeah, maybe.
So we're gonna bite down on this huge steak of a game, Final Fantasy VI. Is that
Roman, do you want to do an intro?